Engine's Channel Payments Manager extension, or CPM for short, allows you to integrate your Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central software to Stripe's digital payment platform. This gives you the freedom to work with an external solution that meets your payment processing and collection needs while still being able to use your ERP system. CPM is embedded directly within your Business Central environment, allowing for a streamlined communication between Business Central and Stripe. A primary component of setting up your CPM solution is the configuration of what is called the payment platform. The payment platform contains all of the necessary links and credentials for you to access your external Stripe account. The payment platform also has a number of setup and configuration options that allow you to determine the manner in which payments are retrieved and processed in Business Central. In a separate video, we walked through the process of initially setting up a payment platform. However, as you can see on my screen, there are a number of other fields that can be configured on this record. This video will walk through the setup fields on the Subscription Invoicing Fast tab and talk about their purpose. Please note that some of these fields are tied to separate processes, and the purpose of this video is not meant to be a detailed discussion of these processes, but rather just provide some basic understanding of what the fields do and how they can be set up. SuiteEngine is continuously creating additional how-to videos that provide deeper walkthroughs of individual business processes. Please be sure to review from time to time to get a more full understanding of this functionality. As we turn to this Subscription Invoicing Fast tab, it's important to note that it's only necessary to configure these fields if you are using Stripe to manage subscriptions. It's possible for you to use Stripe to set up and manage recurring subscriptions for products. A little disclaimer, it's important to note in this case that what Stripe calls a product is really any sort of sellable good. So things like services, for example, would be set up as products in Stripe. Now, if you use this functionality, CPM can be instructed to retrieve this information into Business Central and then automatically create and post sales invoices. The fields on the Subscription Invoicing Fast tab that we're looking at here will dictate the way in which these documents are created. So as you can see, this is very much dependent on your business. If you're not maintaining any sort of subscription programs, there's nothing you need to do here. Okay, so now that we understand the concept of subscription invoicing, the fields are by and large pretty straightforward. This first checkbox, Auto Build Subscription Invoicing Invoices, is used to instruct CPM to automatically build a Business Central sales invoice when it retrieves the subscription invoice from Stripe. And this second checkbox instructs Business Central to automatically post that invoice immediately following creation. In general, our recommendation would be enable both of these options. The next field allows you to specify the code unit that will be used to build these invoices. CPM provides an out-of-the-box code unit. You can see it's been populated here. 99.9% of the time, you would want to just stick with that. The field is editable, and that's to account for a scenario in which a company needs to create some sort of custom code unit for this process. Again, that should be a pretty rare occurrence. The next batch of fields we have all pertain to the way in which the Business Central sales invoice documents are built, starting with the number series that will be used to number them. We recommend that you set up a dedicated number series for these documents. Ultimately, though, it's up to your business process or preference. In terms of the external document number that gets assigned to these sales invoices, CPM will by default assign the invoice ID from the Stripe transaction as the external document number. But if you enter a prefix in this field, it will precede that invoice ID. So we'll give an example. Based on our setup here, let's say we retrieve invoice 123 from Stripe. and we create a sales invoice for it in Business Central. That sales invoice's external document number would be CPM-123. Small note on this, you are limited to 4 characters in this field. That's to help preserve the character limitations that are imposed by Business Central. Moving on, you can define some of the other values that are going to be assigned to subscription invoices, such as the payment method, the location code, and the dimension values for global dimensions 1 and 2. Again, pretty standard, straightforward Business Central functionality or Business Central records. One note regarding the payment method, you can use a dedicated payment method like the Stripe one I have here. You could also use an existing one that you have, but regardless, you do want to make sure that the balancing account is blank. Finally, you can determine the method by which any calculated sales tax amounts for Stripe are handled on these subscription invoices. You can choose none or line. If you choose none, then what you're doing is you're instructing Business Central to ignore any calculated sales tax values from Stripe. In this case, sales tax will be calculated on the invoices according to your Business Central setup and standard Business Central logic. Alternatively, you can select this line option. And if you do that, what that means is you want the sales tax calculations from Stripe to be entered as separate lines on the Business Central sales invoice. This will, from a practical perspective, will disable the tax liable field on the sales invoice. That's going to prevent Business Central from wanting to calculate sales tax. Our recommendation is that you use this line option because that will ensure that the recorded sales tax amounts are synchronized between Business Central and Stripe. If you do select that line option, there's a little bit of additional setup you need to do. You need to indicate the line account type followed by the account number. Again, as you can see, there's a number of standard Business Central options. Typically, you would be assigning this to a GL account, some sort of sales tax account. And that does it for the subscription invoicing fast tab settings. Again, this is all very much dependent on a given company's business, and it may not be applicable to you at all from a setup perspective, in which case you can skip it. Regardless, as you can see, we have other fast tabs on the sales or payment platform record that allow you to configure other aspects of how the platform will process activities. For information on how to set these other fields up, please review the relevant videos that we've provided.